Okay? Now, if I'm going to ask you, how much would be the difference if we use absorption method? Then that would be a different scenario. Okay? Now, in this problem, we already have solved for the net income for variable costing. Okay. Now, one technique is that if you are going to compare net income under variable costing to absorption costing, you know, or you will know that generally the income under absorption costing would be higher than the variable costing method. Okay? Okay. Now, as I've told you before, we have new elements today. We have selling and administrative. Okay? No bearing on this variable cost. Okay? No bearing. However, actually, no bearing at all. No bearing at all. Regardless kung ano yung gagamitin mong method, whether absorption or variable. Okay? It's because the part here, okay, I'm gonna square it. This part, I'm highlighting, the selling and administrative expense, regardless whether fixed or variable cost, will be incurred regardless of the method you are going to use. Whether it is variable or absorption, the same expense will be incurred. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, if you use variable costing, the total selling and administrative is 1 peso multiplied by 80,000 plus 70,000. That's your total selling and administrative. If you are going to use absorption costing, it's the same thing. 70,000 plus 1 multiplied by 80,000 units. It's the same. Okay? Now, saan manggagaling yung difference ng profit between the two methods? Okay, that's the good question. Now, sabi ko nga sa inyo, generally, the income under absorption costing is higher than the variable costing method. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, if I'm going to ask you, how much is the profit under absorption costing? Anong idea mo? You know, for a fact, that it is more than 210,000. It's because of our theory. Okay, the basic theory under absorption costing. That generally, absorption costing profit will be higher than variable costing profit. Okay. Ang tanong, saan nanggagaling yung difference? As I've said before, or last meeting, the difference will come from the factory overhead. Okay. So variable factory overhead, no problem. It's the same thing. Okay. Regardless of the method you choose. However, what will change is the recognition of the factory overhead. Okay. Now, if you see the procedure, what we did in this problem under variable costing, we acknowledged or we recognized the total amount of 120,000 already. Okay? For the whole period. Okay? Regardless kung 80,000 lang yung nabenta. Okay? Ang kinonsider natin factory or the fixed factory overhead is 120,000. However, pagdating sa absorption, that will vary. Mag-iiba yon. Okay? It's because under variable costing, this factory overhead or this fixed factory overhead is considered as a period cost. When we talk about period cost, it was incurred during the period, then therefore, based on the matching principle, it should be recognized within the period. However, it differs pagdating sa absorption. It's because when you talk about absorption costing, we only recognize part of the factory or part of the fixed factory overhead. So, dyan na natin i-discuss yung normal capacity. However, pagdating dito sa problem natin, there's no normal capacity. So if there's no normal capacity, we just consider the maximum or the number used, how many was produced during the period. And in this problem, the number of produced is 100,000 units. Okay? So therefore, what's the first step? Okay, the first step is we have to compute for the predetermined rate of the fixed factory overhead. So we have 120, okay, 120,000 peso, 120,000 peso divided by 100,000 units. So therefore, the predetermined rate per unit or the fixed factory overhead per unit is equal to 12 peso or 1.2. Tama ba? Check. Okay, so 1.2 peso fixed factory overhead. Okay. Now, anong significance nito na compute natin? This amount that we have computed, okay, this one, is important, okay? It is important for us to compute the difference of profit between the two methods, okay? Okay. Let me show you. Remember, 100,000 units were produced. Okay, 100,000 units were produced. However, only 80,000 units were sold. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong 20,000 units na hindi nabenta. Okay. No problem, regardless of the method that you are going to use, if 100,000 units were produced and 100,000 units were sold. Okay? Walang problem. However, dito kasi, we have a 20,000 difference. So, ibig sabihin, may timing difference. When we talk about absorption costing, ang mako-consider lang natin or ma-recognize lang natin ng factory overhead would be the kung ilan yun na benta. Then, yung 20,000 na remaining, the fixed factory overhead expenses would be recognized next period kung kailan mabebenta yung remaining 20,000 units. So, therefore, meron tayong 20,000 na unsold. So, ibig sabihin, itong 20,000 na to ay hindi pa natin mare-recognize. Malinaw? It's because hindi pa siya nabenta. Kailan mare-recognize to? Pag nabenta na. So, therefore, if hindi siya nabenta, then therefore, part of the 120,000, hindi pa natin mare-recognize. Kaya naman, ito yung difference ng profit between variable costing and absorption. The portion wherein hindi pa natin na-recognize. And that would be 1.2 times 20,000 units. So this will equal to, magkano to? 1.20, that is 24,000 ba to? If I'm not mistaken. Okay, let me check. So 1.2 times 20,000. Okay. So that's 24,000. So that is the difference of profit. Again, going back to our general assumption. Okay? The profit under absorption costing is higher than the profit under variable costing. Okay? Then therefore, the profit under absorption costing would be 210,000 plus 24,000. Total of 234,000. Okay? That's how you compute for the profit of under absorption costing. I hope you have enjoyed and you have learned something from this lesson. See you later. And thank you for watching. Bye, guys.